All right. Chag Sameach Purim. Awesome. Okay. Actually, you wanted to do the children first, didn't you? We don't have the mic set up for that. We'll try to get them set up if we can real quick. Okay. Well, welcome, everyone. I know it's at the end of Purim, but I did want to make sure that we had a chance to get this in before sundown. And so we're very excited. They can sing after? Okay. I just want to make sure we get that in there, and then we'll have the children sing. It'll take us a few minutes to get the mic set up, so let's just go ahead and do the readings first. All right, so welcome everyone to the MTOI Beth Shalom, the Purim celebration. Okay, Chag is a festival, and Purim is the celebration of the holiday imposed or self-imposed by the Jewish community in the book of Esther. I'm going to read about that today. And so it's an exciting opportunity for us to be here today to do this. Also, it is Erev Shabbat in a few minutes. So we're going to have an Erev Shabbat service as well after we finish the book of Esther. Now, for the children and for those of you that might be hungry, please hang with us. It's going to take us probably a little over an hour to get all of this done. Okay, we're going to read through the book of Esther and then also go into our Erev Shabbat service and before we eat. And so it may take a little while, so I do ask for your patience and your indulgence as we go in through that. Okay, so what we're going to be doing today, you know what, after all that, I left my readings page on my desk. Yeah, but you're not going to know which keys to do. Hold on. All right, I'm back. See, we always work as a well-oiled machine, as you can tell. Okay. Well, I wanted to make some adjustments to the way we did the readings last time. I kind of doubled up some things to make it a little bit less. In the meantime, we can get ready by having some people come up. What we're going to do is we're going to read the book of Esther. And as we read the book of Esther, I'm going to have 13 readers, and we've got 6 or 7 chairs up here that we need to fill for people to come up. Just watch out for the monitor here when you come up. So if you would like to read, thank you. Perfect. If you'd like to read, please come on up. Don't everybody run as a stampede at the same time. Nobody wants to read. Come on up. Okay, so I have nothing but ladies coming up for the first round. Guys, you need to catch the last 6 or 7, okay? Ladies, great job stepping up. And it's okay, men, don't be embarrassed that the ladies came up first. And all the wives look at their husbands like, yeah, husband, you need to be up here. Okay. My wife can't do that. I'm already up here. So, excellent. So look at all the princesses we have up here already to read the book of Esther. I guess that's appropriate that we do that. Wonderful. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and open us in prayer, and then we're going to go ahead into the reading of the book of Esther. Father, we want to come before you, and on this your Chag Purim, and we know that in the book of Esther, this is something that the Jews imposed on themselves, but they imposed it upon themselves in honor of the miracles that you brought forth in the days of Esther. And so, Father, we want to take this opportunity to look to you, to honor you, to bring glory and honor to your name through the events that we read in the book of Esther as we come together to celebrate this Chag Purim. And so, Father, we want to place all things into your hands, that all things will be your glory and your honor, as we appreciate you and praise your name for your miracles. In Yeshua's mighty name, amen, amen. Okay, so a couple of things real quickly that I think probably should be addressed before we get started. One is, you will probably notice, if they do get on camera, as the cameras are going around, we do have some princesses in the room. Oh, can all the princesses stand up? I don't know, can we get it on the other camera there? Princesses, stand up. Okay, come on, princesses, stand up. Let's see you. All right, beautiful. Okay, so just to kind of reiterate what I've said before, okay, Purim is not Halloween, but there is a tradition over the centuries that, and again, if you understand how we receive information, how we engage with the material, one of the ways we can engage with it is by acting it out. There's a lot of congregations that do Purim plays. We've done them in the past where we perform what's in the book. And so dressing like the characters in the story, I've basically said is an appropriate thing to do. It's not required, but certainly is okay to do. But we're not dressing like things that are not in the story. Okay, so to dress like Esther or Mordechai would be certainly appropriate. And so we have a lot of Esthers in the room, and so that's wonderful. And we want to just give them praise. They all look very beautiful, and they're all princesses, every one of them. Okay, now another thing that I want to address is that as we are going to go forth through this, okay, so there's a participation function here for all of us. I don't know that it will go over the live stream very well as far as the mics picking you guys up, but there's a participation thing. If you're on the live stream, you can participate as well at home. As we read the book of Esther, there is a tradition that when certain names are read, we respond with a certain response. Okay, so when you hear the name of Haman, we go, boo, and make all kinds of noise. Oh, we don't like Haman. Haman is the villain of the story, and we boo Haman. We want to blot out his name, essentially. And so the Jews will have sound makers and noise makers and groggers and those kind of things, or they'll just boo with their voices to try to blot out the name. Now, when we hear the name of Mordechai, Mordechai is our hero. We go, yay, Mordechai. Now, bear in mind, sometimes as we're reading, when the name is said and then we cheer or we boo, it's going to sound really absurd because of what the context of the sentence is. Those will be humorous moments. Enjoy them. We're going to boo when we probably should say yay, and yay when we say boo. But it's just one of those things that'll happen once or twice in the story. But that's just what we're going to do. And then when we hear the name of Esther, this is something that we add. We go, oh, Esther, okay? All right. So you don't have to do any of these things. They're traditions. But just so that you know what we're doing. Now, for those of you on the live stream, if you wonder why I keep looking this way, because we split the room up to where we're going to be eating on one side and everybody's sitting over here. So I keep looking on this side. Now, in reading the book of Esther, okay, these little books, individual books, are called Megillot. Megillot. And so this one is often referred to as the Megillah, the book of Esther, and it's read on Purim. Rabbi Tom was very generous to bring his Megillah, Esther. Okay, so that we could see what a little scroll would look like, and it's got the Hebrew in there. I don't know if I can pull it open enough for the camera to kind of see. Whoops, let's see if I can hold that. Can you get zoomed in on that at all, Kirk? So you can see the Hebrew? Did you get it? Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to read just a little bit from the beginning here. Vayehi bimei Achashverosh, hu Achashverosh hamelech mehodu ve'ad kush shecha vesh. Again, it says an old scroll here. Ve'asrim umea miruna bayamim hahem keshefet hamelech Achashverosh al kisei malchuto aser b'Shushan. Okay, so this is reading like the beginning of your first two verses here, where it says Achashverosh, the one who ruled over India and Kush, ruled from Shushan. He was sitting on his throne in the citadel of Shushan. Okay, so that's the beginning of the book of Esther. Amen. Amen. Okay. I said that. Okay, my wife wants to make sure that we all cheer when we say Mordechai. Okay, if any of the children want to grab a grogger, that's the noisemakers, we have them on the front row, but please don't shake them too violently, they will break. They're homemade, they made them in the Katan class. So if you want a grogger, there's a bunch of them on the front seats here. You can come up and grab one. Just remember, when you're shaking them, please don't shake them too hard, they will break. They're homemade. And then when we're done, we'll just put them back on the front seat. Okay. Okay, awesome. All right, so I have 13 readings. Each one's going to be about 11 to 12 verses. One of them is a little bit longer because it's the whole chapter, because there's a short chapter, it's only about 17 verses, so we'll have that one that'll be a little bit longer. And so we're going to begin with Shira. Okay, I hope you can read out of the regular size print because I didn't bring the large print up with me. New glasses. Okay, new glasses, so you're good. And what we're going to do is I'm going to get rid of this, and we're going to hand you a mic so you can hold it when you're reading. It'll be easier than taking the mic stand and going up and down and up and down. All right, so we're going to begin here with the reading of the book of Esther with Shira. She's going to take us through the first 11 verses.
And it came to be in the days of Ahasuerus. He is the Ahasuerus who reigned from India to Cush, 127 provinces. In those days, when sovereign Ahasuerus sat on the throne of his reign, which was in the citadel of Shushan, that in the 3rd year of his reign, he made a feast for all his officials and servants. The power of Persia and Media, the nobles and the princes of the provinces were before him. When he showed the riches of his esteemed reign and the splendor of his excellent greatness for many days, 180 days. And when these days were completed, the sovereign made a feast, lasting 7 days for all the people who were present in the citadel of Shushan, from great to small, in the courtyard of the garden of the sovereign's palace. White and blue tapestries were fastened with cords of fine linen and purple on silver rods and marble columns. The couches were of gold and silver on a mosaic pavement of porphyry, marble, mother of pearl, and black marble. And they served drinks in golden vessels, the vessels being different from one another, with much royal wine, according to the hand of the sovereign. And drinking was according to the law. No one was compelled, for so the sovereign had ordered all the officers of his house that they should do according to each one's pleasure. Sovereigntess Vashti also made a feast for the women in the royal palace which sovereign Ahasuerus owned. On the 7th day, when the heart of the sovereign was glad with wine, he ordered Mehuman, Biztha, Charbona, Bigtha, and Abagtha, Zethar, and Carcas, the 7 eunuchs who were in attendance in the presence of sovereign Ahasuerus, to bring sovereignish Vashti before the sovereign with her royal crown, in order to show her loveliness to the people and the officials, for she was lovely to look upon.
Amen, amen. Okay, thank you, Shira. Okay, next up is Rebbe and Julie. Okay, you're going to take us now from verse 12 to verse 22, to the end of the chapter. Verse 12 to the end of the chapter.
But sovereigness Vashti refused to come at the sovereign's command brought by his eunuchs, and the sovereign was very wroth, and his rage burned within him. So the sovereign said to the wise men who understood the times, for in this way the sovereign's matter came before all who knew law and right ruling, and who were close to him. Karshina, Shethar, Admatha, Tarshish, Meres, Marsena, Memucan, the 7 princes of Persia and Media, who saw the sovereign's face, who sat first in the reign. According to law, what is to be done to sovereigness Vashti, because she did not perform the command of sovereign Ahasuerus through the eunuchs? And Memucan answered before the sovereign and the princes, Sovereigness Vashti has misbehaved, not only toward the sovereign, but also toward all the princes and all the people who are in all the provinces of sovereign Ahasuerus. For the matter of the sovereignness shall go forth to all women to make their husbands despised in their eyes when they say, Sovereign Ahasuerus commanded Sovereigness Vashti to be brought in before him, but she did not come. And this day the princesses of Persia and Media shall say to all the sovereign's officials that they had heard of the matter of the sovereignness with plenty of scorn and wrath. If it pleases the sovereign, let a royal decree go out from him, and let it be recorded in the laws of the Persians and the Medes, so that it does not pass away, that Vashti shall come no more before sovereign Ahasuerus, and let the sovereign give her royal position to another who is better than she. And the sovereign's decree which he makes shall be proclaimed throughout all his rule, great as it is, and all the wives give esteem to their husbands, both great and small. And the word was good in the eyes of the sovereign and the princes, and the sovereign did according to the word of Memucan. So he sent letters to all the sovereign's provinces, to each province in its own writing, and to every people in their own language, that each man should be master in his own house and speak in the language of his people.
Amen. Thank you. I get a kiss here. All right. Now we're going to go, aw. You guys can do an aw for that. I get that. Oh. Okay. We're going to go now into chapter 2. Okay, and Tamara's going to take us into chapter 2 and read the first 11 verses.
After these events, when the wrath of the sovereign Ahasuerus had ceased, he remembered Vashti, what she had done, and what had been decreed against her. Then the sovereign's servants who attended him said, Let lovely young maidens be brought for the sovereign, and let the sovereign appoint officers in all the province of his reign, and let them gather all the lovely young maidens to the citadel of Shushan, into the women's quarters, under the hand of Haggai, and sovereign eunuch, guardian of the women, to give their preparations. And let the young women who pleases the sovereign be the sovereigness instead of Vashti. And the word pleased the sovereign, and he did so. In the citadel of Shushan, there was a certain man, a Yehudite, whose name was Mordecai, son of Yair, son of Shimei, son of Kish, son of Benjamin, a Benjamite, who had been exiled from Jerusalem with the captives who had been exiled with Jeconiah, sovereign of Judah, from Nebuchadnezzar, and the sovereign of Babel had exiled. And it came to be that he was raising Hadassah, that is Esther, his uncle's daughter, for she had neither father nor mother. The young woman was lovely and of good appearance, and when her father and mother died, Mordecai took her as his own daughter. And it came to be when the sovereign's command and decree were heard, and when the many young women were gathered at the citadel of Shushan, into the hand of Haggai, that Esther too had taken the sovereign's palace into the hand of Haggai, guardian of women. And the young woman pleased him, and she received kindness from him. So he hastened to give her preparations and her portions, and gave her 7 choice female servants from the sovereign's palace. And he moved her and her female servants to the best place in the house of the women. Esther had not made known for her people or her relatives, for Mordecai had commanded her not to make it known. And every day Mordecai walked about in front of the courtyard and the women's quarters to learn of Esther's welfare and what is done to her.
All right, you guys are starting to get warmed up and figure out that whole, yay, aw. Don't feel bad if you mess it up. Everybody does at least one. Happens every time. Okay, I've already messed up at least one, so I started you off. All right, Catherine's going to take us now from verse 12 to the end of chapter 2.
Now when the turn of each young woman came to go into Sovereign Ahasuerus, after she had completed 12 months, according to the regulations for the women, for the days of their preparation were completed as follows: 6 months with oil of myrrh, and 6 months with perfumes, and with the preparations of women. Thus prepared, the young woman went to the sovereign, and whatever she asked for was given to take with her from the house of the women to the sovereign's palace. In the evening she went, and in the morning she returned to the second house of the women, into the hand of Shahashgaz, the sovereign's eunuch, guardian of the concubines. She would not come into the sovereign again unless the sovereign delighted in her and called for her by name. And when the turn came for Esther, the daughter of Abihail, the uncle of Mordecai, who had taken her as his daughter to come into the sovereign, she sought no matter but what Haggai, the sovereign's eunuch, guardian of the women, advised. And Esther found favor in the eyes of all who saw her. And Esther was taken to sovereign Ahasuerus into his royal palace in the 10th month, which is the month of Tebeth, in the 7th year of his reign. And the sovereign loved Esther more than all the women, and she found favor and kindness in his eyes more than all the maidens. And he set the royal crown upon her head and made her sovereigness instead of Vashti. And the sovereign made a great feast, the feast of Esther, for all his officials and servants, and he proclaimed a release in the provinces and gave gifts according to the means of the sovereign. And when maidens were assembled a second time, Mordecai sat within the sovereign's gate. Esther had not made known her relatives and her people yet, as Mordecai commanded her, for Esther obeyed the command of Mordecai as when she was being raised by him. In those days, while Mordecai sat within the sovereign's gate, 2 of the sovereign's eunuchs, Bigthan and Teresh, doorkeepers, were wroth and sought to lay hands on sovereign Ahasuerus. And the matter became known to Mordecai, who informed sovereigness Esther. And Esther spoke to the sovereign in Mordecai's name. And when the matter was searched into, it was confirmed, and both were impaled on a stake, and it was written in the book of the Annals in the presence of the sovereign.
All right, thank you. Good job. Okay, next up is Christine. And Christine's going to take us into chapter 3 and read the entire chapter.
And after these events, sovereign Ahasuerus promoted Haman, son of Hammedatha the Agagite, and exalted him and seated him higher than all the princes with him. And all the sovereign's servants who were in the sovereign's gate bowed and did obeisance to Haman. For so the sovereign had commanded concerning him. But Mordecai would not bow or do, what is that word? Obeisance. Okay. And the sovereign's servants who were in the sovereign's gate said to Mordecai, why do you disobey the sovereign's command? And it came to be, when they spoke to him daily, and he would not listen to them, that they told Haman to see whether the words of Mordecai would stand, for he told them that he was a Yehudite. And when Haman saw that Mordecai did not bow or do obeisance, Haman was filled with wrath. But it was despicable in his eyes to lay hands on Mordecai alone, for they had informed him of the people of Mordecai. Therefore Haman sought to destroy all the Yehudim who were throughout all the reign of Ahasuerus, the people of Mordecai. In the first new moon, which is the new moon of Nisan, in the 12th year of sovereign Ahasuerus, someone cast pure, that is the lot, before Haman from day to day and from new moon to new moon, until it fell on the 12th month, which is the new moon of Adar. Haman then told sovereign Ahasuerus, there is a certain people scattered and dispersed among the people in all the provinces of your reign, whose laws are different from all people, and they do not do the sovereign's laws. Therefore, it is not in the sovereign's interest to let them remain. If it pleases the sovereign, let a decree be written to destroy them, and let me pay 10,000 talents of silver into the hands of those who do the work, to bring it into the sovereign's treasuries. And the sovereign took his signet ring from his hand and gave it to Haman, son of Hammedatha. Can you help me out? Hammedatha, the Agagite, the enemy of the Yehudim. And the sovereign said to Haman, the silver and the people are given to you to do with them as seems good to you. And the sovereign's scribes were called on the 13th day of the first new moon, and a decree was written according to all that Haman commanded to the viceroys of the sovereign and to the governors who were over each province, and to the officials of all people, to every province according to its writing, and to every people in their language. It was written in the name of sovereign Ahasuerus and sealed with the sovereign's signet ring. And the letters were sent by the runners into all the sovereign's provinces to cut off, to kill, and to destroy all the Yehudim, both young and old, little children and women, in one day, on the 13th day of the 12th new moon, which is the new moon of Adar, and to plunder their possessions. A copy of the writing to be made law in every province was published for all people to be ready for that day. The runners went out, hastened by the sovereign's command, and the decree was given out in the citadel of Shushan. The sovereign and Haman then sat down to drink, but the city of Shushan was in confusion.
Good job. Those names are a little tough. All right. All right, so now we have Michelle coming up to read chapter 4, the entire chapter.
And Mordecai learned of all that had been done, and Mordecai tore his garments and put on sackcloth and ashes, and went out into the midst of the city, and cried out with a loud and bitter cry. And he went up to the front of the sovereign's gate, for no one might enter the sovereign's gate wearing sackcloth. And in every province where the sovereign's command and decree came, there was a great mourning among the Yehudim, and fasting, and weeping, and wailing, and many lay in sackcloth and ashes. And Esther, young women and eunuchs came and told her, and the sovereigness was deeply pained, and sent garments to Mordecai to wear and to take away his sackcloth from him, but he refused. And Esther called Hathach, one of the sovereign's eunuchs, whom he had appointed to attend her, and she gave him a command concerning Mordecai to learn what and why this was. And Hathach went out to Mordecai to an open space in the city in front of the sovereign's gate. And Mordecai told him and all that befell him, and all about the silver that Haman promised to pay into the sovereign's treasuries to destroy the Yehudim. And he gave a copy of the written decree to destroy them, which was given at Shushan, to show the Esther and explain it to her, and to command her to go in to the sovereign and to make supplication to him and plead for him for her people. And Hathach came and told Esther the words of Mordecai. And Esther spoke to Hathach and gave him a command for Mordecai. And all the sovereign servants and the people of the sovereign's provinces known that any man or woman who goes into the inner court to the sovereign who has not been called, he has but one law, to be put to death, except the one whom the sovereign holds out the golden scepter. Then they shall live. But I have not been called in to come to the sovereign of these 30 days. And they declared to Mordecai the words of Esther, and Mordecai commanded them to answer Esther. Do not think with yourself to escape in the sovereign's place, and more than all the other Yehudim. For if you keep entirely silent at this time, relief and deliverance shall arise for the Yehudim from another place, while you and your father's house perish. And who knows whether you have come to the reign for such a time as this. And Esther commanded to reply to Mordecai, go gather all the Yehudim who are present in Shushan and fast for me, and do not eat or drink for 3 days, night or day. I too and my young women shall fast in the same way. I shall go to the sovereign, which is against the law, and if I shall perish, I shall perish. Mordecai then went away and did according to all that Esther had commanded him.
Very good, thank you. Apparently, I've got a challenge with a bunch of empty chairs. They're going to read the next 5 readings. Come on, guys. When the ladies got there, boom, started it up. Come on, men, fill up the chairs. All right, fill up those chairs. Okay, because we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more readings. I've got 6 guys up here. We're going to have one last reading after that. If it comes down to it, I'll just read the last one. Okay, Nate's going to step up here. He's going to read chapter 5.
And it came to be on the 3rd day that Esther put on royal apparel and stood in the inner court of the sovereign's palace, in front of the sovereign's house, while the sovereign sat on his royal throne in the royal house, opposite the entrance of the house. And it came to be, when the sovereign saw Sovereigness Esther standing in the court, that she found favor in his eyes. And the sovereign held out to Esther the golden scepter which was in his hand. And Esther went near and touched the top of the scepter. And the sovereign said to her, what is it, Sovereign Esther? And what is your request? Up to half my reign, and it is given to you. And Esther answered, if it pleases the sovereign, let the sovereign and Haman come today to the feast which I have prepared for him. And the sovereign said, get Haman at once to do as Esther has said. Then the sovereign and Haman went to the feast where Esther had prepared. And the sovereign said to Esther at the feast of wine, "What is your petition?" And it is given to you. "And what is your request?" "Up to half my reign, and it is done." And Esther answered and said, "My petition and request is this: if I have found favor in the eyes of the sovereign, and if it pleases the sovereign to give my petition and perform my request, then let the sovereign and Haman come to the feast which I make for them. And tomorrow I shall do according to the word of the sovereign." And Haman went out that day rejoicing with a glad heart. But when Haman saw Mordecai in the sovereign's gate, and that he did not stand or tremble before him, he was filled with wrath against Mordecai. But Haman held himself in and came to his house, and he sent and called for his friends and Zeresh his wife. And Haman recounted to them the esteem of his wealth and his many sons, and all in which the sovereign had promoted him, and how he had exalted him above the officials and servants of the sovereign. And Haman said, "Besides Esther, the sovereigness, let no one but me come in with the sovereign to the feast which she prepared. And tomorrow, too, I am invited by her, along with the sovereign. But all this does not suit me, as long as I see Mordecai, the Yehudite, sitting at the sovereign's gate." So his wife Zeresh and all the friends said to him, Let a stake be made, 50 cubits high, and in the morning speak to the sovereign that Mordecai be impaled on it, and go with the sovereign to the feast rejoicing. And the word pleased Haman, and he had the stake made.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you, Nate. Okay, next one. That's yours. Okay, next one up is Manny. Manny's going to take us and read chapter 6.
Chapter 6. On that night, the sleep of the sovereign fled, and he commanded to bring the book of the records of the annals. And they were read before the sovereign. And it was found written that Mordecai had told of Bigthana and Teresh, two of the sovereign's eunuchs, the doorkeepers who had sought to lay hands on sovereign Ahasuerus. Then the sovereign said, "What has been done in value or in greatness to Mordecai for this?" And the sovereign's servants who attended him said, "Naught has been done to him, for him." And the sovereign said, "Who is in the court?" Now Haman had come into the outer court of the sovereign's palace to speak to the sovereign to impale Mordecai on the stake that he had prepared for him. And the sovereign's servant said to him, "Look, Haman is standing in the court." And the sovereign said, "Let him come in." And when Haman came in, the sovereign asked him, "What is to be done for the man whom the sovereign delights to value?" Now Haman, though in his heart, whom would the sovereign delight to value more than me? And Haman answered the sovereign, "For the man whom the sovereign delights to value, let a royal robe be brought which the sovereign has worn, and a horse on which the sovereign has ridden, one with a royal crest placed on its head. And let the robe and the horse be given into the hand of the sovereign's most noble princes. Let them dress the man whom the sovereign delights to value, and make him ride on horseback through the city square, and proclaim before him, 'Thus it is done to the man whom the sovereign delights to value.' And the sovereign said to Haman, 'Hurry, take the robe of the horse and the horse as you have spoken, and do so for Mordecai, the Yehudite, who sits in the sovereign's gate.' Let no word fail of all that you have spoken. And Haman took the robe and the horse and robed Mordecai and led him on horseback through the city square and proclaimed before him, "Thus it is done to the man the sovereign delights to value." Then Mordecai went back to the sovereign's gate, but Haman hurried to his house, mourning with covered head. And when Haman related to his wife Zeresh and all his friends all that had befallen him, the wise men and his wife Zeresh said to him, "If Mordecai, before whom you have begun to fall, is from the seed of the Yehudim, you are not going to prevail against him, but certainly fall before him." While they were still speaking with him, the sovereign's eunuchs came and hurried to bring Haman to the feast which Esther had prepared.
All right, thank you. I told you it'd be one of those ones where we say yay or boo and it doesn't seem like it fits right. All right, Rob's going to take us now and read chapter 7.
And the sovereign and Haman came in to drink with sovereigness Esther. And again, on the second day at the feast of wine, the sovereign said to Esther, "What is your petition, sovereigness Esther?" And it is given to you. "And what is your request?" "Up to half my reign, and it is done." And sovereigness Esther answered and said, "If I have found favor in your eyes, O sovereign, and if it pleases the sovereign, let my life be given me at my petition, and my people at my request. For we have been sold, my people and I, to be cut off, to be slain, and to be destroyed. And if we had been sold as male and female slaves, I would have kept silent, although the adversary could not make up for the sovereign's loss." Then the sovereign Ahasuerus asked sovereigness Esther, "Who is he, and where is he, and whose heart is set to do so?" And Esther said, "The adversary and the enemy is the evil Haman." Then Haman was afraid before the sovereign and the sovereigness. And the sovereign, arising in his wrath from the feast of wine, went into the palace garden. And Haman remained before sovereigness Esther, pleading for his life. For he saw that evil had been decided against him by the sovereign. And when the sovereign returned from the palace garden to the place of the feast of wine, Haman was fallen on the couch where Esther was. Then the sovereign said, "Also to ravish the sovereigness while I am in the house." As the word left the sovereign's mouth, they covered Haman's face. And Harbona, one of the eunuchs, said to the sovereign, "Also see the state 50 cubits high, which Haman made for Mordecai, who spoke good on behalf of the sovereign, is standing at the house of Haman." And the sovereign said, "Impale him on it." And they impaled Haman on the stake that he had prepared for Mordecai. And the sovereign's wrath abated.
Sorry, I had to just fix that, and when they impaled him, I had to cheer. Okay. All right. Excuse me. So next up we have Wayne, and Wayne's going to read the very long chapter 8.
On that day, sovereign Ahasuerus gave to sovereigness Esther the house of Haman, the adversary of Yehudi. And Mordecai came before the sovereign, for Esther had explained what he was to her. And the sovereign took off his signet ring, which he had taken from Haman, and gave it to Mordecai. And Esther appointed Mordecai over the house of Haman. And Esther spoke to the sovereign again and fell down at his feet and begged him with tears to put an end to the evil of Haman, the Agagite, and his plot which he had plotted against the Yehudim. And the sovereign yelled out the golden scepter toward Esther, and Esther arose and stood before the sovereign and said, "If it pleases the sovereign, and if I have found favor in his sight, and the matter in right before the sovereign, and I am pleasing in his eyes, let it be written to bring back the letters, the plot by Haman, son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, which he wrote to destroy the Yehudim, who are in all the sovereign's provisions. For how could I bear to see the evil come into my people? Or how could I bear to see the destruction of my relatives?" And sovereign Ahasuerus said to sovereigness Esther and Mordecai, the Yehudi, "Look, I have given Esther the house of Haman, and they have impaled him on the stake because he laid his hand on the Yehudim. Now you write on behalf of the Yehudim, as it pleases you, in the sovereign's name, and seal it with the sovereign's signet ring. For a letter which is written in the sovereign's name and sealed with the sovereign's signet ring, no one turns back." So the sovereign's scribes were called at that time in the 3rd month, which is the month of Sivan, and the 23rd day, and it was written according to all that Mordecai commanded to the Yehudim and to the viceroys and the governors and the princes and the province. 7 province, to every province it is written to every people in their own language, and to the Yehudim in their own writing and in their own language. And he wrote in the name of sovereign Ahasuerus and sealed it with the sovereign's signet ring, and sent letters by runners on horseback, riding on royal horses, bred for speedy mirth, that the sovereign has granted to the Yehudim who were in every city to be assembled and stand for their lives, to cut off, to slay, and to destroy all the power of the people of province that would distress them, little children and women, and to plunder their possessions. On one day, in all the province of sovereign Ahasuerus, on the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month of Adar, the copy of the writing to be made law in every province was announced to all the peoples, so that the Yehudim would be ready on that day to be avenged on their enemies. The runners riding on royal horses went out, hasted, and pressed on by the sovereign's command, and the decree was given out in the citadel of Shahashan. And Mordecai went out from the presence of the sovereign, wearing royal garments of blue and white, with a great crown of gold and a garment of fine linen and purple. And the city of Shushan rejoiced with glad. For the Yehudim there was light and gladness and joy and value. And in every province and every city where the sovereign's command and decree came, the Yehudim had joy and gladness and feast and a good day, and many of the people of the land were becoming Yehudim, for the fear of the Yehudim had fallen upon them.
All right, thank you. That was a long one. Good job, Wayne. Okay, next up, Gary. Gary's going to get us into chapter 9 and read the first 14 verses of chapter 9. 1 to 14.
And in the 12th month, that is the month of Adar, on the 13th day, when the sovereign's command and his decree came to be, on the day that the enemies of the Yehudim had waited to overpower them, it turned around so that the Yehudim overpowered those who hated them. The Yehudim assembled in their cities throughout all the provinces of the sovereign Ahasuerus to lay hands on those who sought their evil. And no one stood against them, because fear of them fell upon all people. And all the officials of the provinces and the viceroys and the governors and all the doings of the sovereign's work helped the Yehudim, because the fear of Mordecai fell upon them. For Mordecai was great in the palace of the sovereign, and his report spread into all the provinces. For this man, Mordecai, became greater and greater. And the Yehudim smote all their enemies with the stroke of the sword, with slaughter and destruction, and did what they pleased to those who hated them. And in the citadel of Shushan, the Yehudim slew and destroyed the 500 men. And they slew Parshandatha and Dalphon and Asapatha and Poratha and Adaliah and Aradatha and Parmashta and Arisai and Aradai and Vaizetha, the 10 sons of Haman, son of the Hamathadah, the enemy of the Yehudim, but they did not lay hands on the plunder. On that day, the number of those who were slain in the citadel of Shushan came before the sovereign. And the sovereign said to the sovereigness Esther, the Yehudim have slain and destroyed 500 men in the citadel of Shushan and the 10 sons of Haman. What have they done in the rest of the sovereign's provinces? And what is your petition? And it is given you. And what is your furthest request? And it is done. And Esther said, if it pleases the sovereign, let it be given to the Yehudim who are in Shushan to do again tomorrow according to today's decree, and let Haman's 10 sons be impaled on the stake. And the sovereign commanded this to be done, and the decree was given in Shushan, and they impaled Haman's 10 sons.
Is that a boo or a yay for that last part? All right, so it seemed like you guys slowed down a little bit in being up to speed on the boos and the yays there. You got lulled in. So we're going to go back to chapter 8, verse 2, because that seemed to give you a warm-up. You ready? And the sovereign took off his signet ring, which he had taken from Haman, and gave it to Mordecai. And Esther appointed Mordecai over the house of Haman. That's a busy verse right there. Okay, you guys sound warmed up again. Okay, now we're going to go with Dale. Okay, Dale's going to take us in chapter 9 from verse 15 to verse 25. 15 to 25.
And the Yehudim who were in Shushan also assembled on the 14th day of the month of Adar, and they slew 300 men at Shushan, but they did not lay a hand on the plunder. And the rest of the Yehudim in the sovereign provinces assembled and stood for their lives, and to get rest from their enemies, and to slay 75,000 of their enemies, but they did not lay a hand on the plunder. That was on the 13th day of the month of Adar, and on the 14th day of the month they rested, and made it a day of feasting and gladness. But the Yehudim who were at Shushan, assembled on the 13th day, as well as on the 14th day, and on the 15th day of the month they rested, and made it a day of feasting and gladness. Therefore the Yehudim of the villages who dwelt in the unwalled towns were making the 14th day of the month of Adar a good day of gladness and feasting, and for sending portions to one another. And Mordecai wrote these matters and sent letters to all the Yehudim who were in all the provinces of sovereign Ahasuerus, both near and far, to establish among them to observe the 14th and 15th days of the month of Adar yearly, as the days on which the Yehudim had rest from their enemies, as the month which was turned from sorrow to joy for them, and from mourning to a good day, that they should make them days of feasting and joy, of sending portions to one another and gifts to the poor. And the Yehudim undertook to do as they had begun, and as Mordecai had written to them, because Haman, the son of Hammedatha, and Agagite, the adversary of all the Yehudim, had plotted against the Yehudim to destroy them, and had cast Pur, that is the lot, to crush them and to destroy them. But when she came before the sovereign, he commanded by letter that his evil plot, which Haman had plotted against the Yehudim, should return on his own head, and that he and his son should be impaled on the stake.
All right, thank you, Dale. All right, I'll do the last reading here in chapter 9, verse 26 to the end of the book of Esther. There we go, that's better. All right, therefore they call these days Purim, after the name Pur. Therefore, because of all the words of this letter, what they had seen concerning this matter, and what had come upon them, the Yehudim established and imposed it upon themselves and upon their seed and all who should join them, that without fail they should observe these 2 days every year according to their writing and at their appointed time. And at those days, and that these days should be remembered and observed throughout every generation, every clan, every province, and every city, and that these days of Purim should not fail from among the Yehudim, and that the remembrance of them should not cease from their seed. And sovereigness Esther, the daughter of Abihail, and Mordecai, the Yehudite, wrote with all authority to confirm the second letter about Purim. And Mordecai sent letters to all the Yehudim, to the 127 provinces of the reign of Achashverosh, words of peace and truth, to establish these days of Purim at their appointed times. As Mordecai, the Yehudite, the sovereigness Esther, had established for them, and as they had established for themselves and their seed concerning matters of their fastings and lamenting. And the decree of Esther established these matters of Purim, and it was written in the book. And the sovereign Achashverosh laid compulsory labor on the land and the islands of the sea, and all the acts of his power and his might, and the exact account of the greatness of Mordecai, which the sovereign made him great, are they not written in the book of the annals of the sovereigns of Media and Persia? For Mordecai, the Yehudite, was second to sovereign Achashverosh, and great among the Yehudim, and pleasing to his many brothers, seeking the good of his people, and speaking peace to all his seed. Amen. Amen. Yay! Boy, that chapter 8 and verse 2 was fun, wasn't it? You got to be quick to know what you're doing. Yay, boo, ah, woo, ah. It was too much. But it was fun. Excellent job, excellent job. You know, see, the children are having so much fun. Okay, so I just want to bring out something real quickly here. I think that's really important that we can see in the story. You know, sometimes I think we forget the sovereign relationship of us and our Creator, the sovereign of the universe. And the words of Esther, when she would come before him and say, if I've done anything pleasing in your sight, and if it pleases you to do, the idea of wanting, this is what Christianity would call grace. He said, if I've done anything that has earned favor, if I have any favor, but they call it grace, but they mean mercy. Grace is merited favor. Grace is, if I've done anything that had merited your favor, and if anything I do has been pleasing in your sight, please accept my petition. And hopefully we go before our sovereign with the same respect that Esther showed to by the way, why is nobody going, oh, never mind, okay. That Esther showed to that king. I mean, she was showing that kind of respect to a human king. How much more so should we be showing respect to our heavenly king, to the king of all kings, the sovereign of all creation? And so I just wanted to kind of bring that little point out there. Now, of course, the Jewish community would basically read this, and when they finished, they would say, they tried to kill us, God saved us, let's eat. Kind of the history of the Jewish community. They tried to kill us, Yahweh saved us, let's eat. However, before we get to do that, we're going to go sit over here, and we're going to have our Erev Shabbat service. So again, thank you all you readers. Ladies, great job. All right, men, no, I'm kidding. Men, great job. Okay, and before we go to sit over there, we have the children to come up and sing. So children, all right, let's go ahead and bring them up. Katan Aleph, the Katan Aleph class. Katan means small. Aleph is the first letter of the alphabet, or the Aleph bet. Okay, we're going to try and get some mics set up here. Let's see if we can get that mic also. You only have two? yours. Okay, I got two just for these guys. This might not be on. Is it on?
Hello?
There you go.
Wait.
Can you hold on to this? Okay, but I want you guys to be able to just both of you get close enough. There you go. What are you missing?
I don't know where my mom.
You have the song? No? We're missing a song now. Rabbitson, do you know where her song is?
That song. Yes, I don't have it. I had to give my copy to Sarah. Very prepared.
Okay, so hold it in the middle between the both of you, and then we'll get to hear you.
Oh gosh. Oh gosh.
Oh, they have to do hand motions? Okay, hold on. I'll put it right in front of them. Don't worry about it. We're going to get this down nice and low.
All right. I really hope this paper. Well, how are we going to turn around? How are we going to turn around?
You got room to turn around. Turn around. See? You got plenty of room. Okay?
Give me a second. I'm going to put it in the book because it keeps flying away. Huh? Who's singing it? You or me? Huh? Singing? Oh, both.
Okay, your mic
Of
was
course,
muted.
what? You think you remember? I don't remember. So, we're going to try our best. Oh, my. That is so loud. If you hear the name Esther, clap your hands. If you hear the name Esther, clap your hands. If you hear the name Esther, if you hear the name Esther, if you hear the name Esther, clap your hands. If you hear the name Xerxes, turn around. If you hear the name Xerxes, turn around. If you hear the name Xerxes, if you hear the name Xerxes, if you hear the name Xerxes, turn around. If you hear the name Haman, stomp your feet. If you hear the name Haman, stomp your feet. If you hear the name Haman, if you hear the name Haman, if you hear the name Haman, stomp your feet. If you hear the name Mordechai, shout hooray! If you hear the name Mordechai, shout hooray! If you hear the name Mordechai, if you hear the name Mordechai, if you hear the name Mordechai, shout hooray!
All right, get a picture. Okay. Good job. All right. Yay. All right, it's like having two Mordechais. Everybody, yay! All right. Gadol and Katan Bet. Okay. Oh, the girls. Okay, so we got the princess parade. Are you guys going to hold this, or do I need to put it? Okay, so hold on. Let me think about how we do this. Okay. Okay. Marty, we're going to try to use some of the other mics as well. Can we turn some of these on? All right. I'm going to let you hold this one. I'm going to get kind of some of you in that. Okay, watch the mic. Okay. Give you one that's held in the middle here. All right, one of you can hold it. All right, background 2.
have no idea. Hello. Is it good? Okay. Esther was a girl from far away. She lived a simple life and loved Yahweh. A king was looking for his bride to be. He fell in love and called this girl his queen. Her people were the chosen ones of Yah, living in a distant land as slaves. The king had put Yah's people in harm's way, but Yah had chosen Esther to be brave. For I know the plans I have for you, says Yahweh, not to harm you, but to prosper, plans to give you hope and future. For I know the plans I have for you, says Yahweh, not to harm you, but to prosper, plans to give you hope and future. For I know the plans I have for you, says Yahweh, not to harm you, but to prosper, plans to give you hope and future. You might be scared, but hold on to the truth. Yahweh provides and he will not leave you. And when you feel alone, remember you are his. For you are called for such a time as this. For I know the plans I have for you, says Yahweh, not to harm you, but to prosper, plans to give you hope and future. For I know the plans I have for you, says Yahweh, not to harm you, but to prosper, plans to give you hope and future.
All right. What a great job. And I could hear you all. It sounded great. Don't be so shy with the singing. You guys all did awesome. All right. Thank you so much. All right. So one more time. Chag Sameach Purim. Okay, now we're going to switch it around. Chag Purim Sameach. Yeah, you did good with both of those. Excellent. Okay, we're going to go move over here now to be seated. Are we going to help them sit, or we're going to seat them? Or all right, let's just go ahead and move over to this side. Just let them know which ones are reserved over in the middle there. Okay, we have We have the Erev Shabbat service. We have one on every other plate. So we should have enough for everybody to share with each other. We put one on every other. Okay? All right, it's just going to take a couple of minutes here. We'll get the children situated. Great. All right, so there we go. That's better. You know what? I think I'm going to use two. Let's see. Okay. How do we do that? Okay. Okay. Shh. Oh, okay. Shh. All right. Shabbat Shalom. All right, as Shabbat approaches, we're going to begin with our Erev Shabbat service. Because it's not, we can see out the door there, the sun is starting to set. Shh. Okay. So, the way this is going to work is that we're going to have different people to read. I would like people to volunteer, but I would like it to be people that didn't volunteer 2 weeks ago when we did the Rosh Chodesh service. So if you already got to read last time, we'd like to let other people get to read this time. Okay, so for the first 3 readings there on the first page, I need a couple of hands to go up to read. Okay, Mr. Wayne, go ahead, let Wayne start us off.
Read all 3?
Now just read the first one, and then you can have Bill read the second one across the table from you. And then we'll get Dale to read the third one, okay? We'll kind of keep it in that area. Shh.
Remember the Sabbath day to set it apart. 6 days you labor and shall do all your work, but on the 7th day is the Sabbath of Yahweh, your Elohim. You not do any work, you nor your son, nor your daughter, nor your male servant, nor your female servant, nor your cattle, nor your stranger who is within your gates. For in 6 days Yahweh made the heavens and the earth, and the sea, and all that is in them, and rested on the 7th day. Therefore Yahweh blessed the Sabbath day and set it apart.
Thank you. Amen. Okay, Bill, go ahead and read the second one.
And the children of Israel shall guard the Sabbath, to observe the Sabbath throughout the generations as an everlasting covenant. Between me and the children of Israel it is a sign forever. For in 6 days Yahweh made the heavens and the earth, and on the 7th day he rested and was refreshed.
Amen. Okay, and then Dale's going to read the third one.
If you turn back your foot from the Sabbath, from doing your pleasure on my set-apart day, and shall call the Sabbath a delight, the set-apart day of Yahweh esteemed, and shall esteem it, not doing your own ways, nor finding your own pleasure, nor speaking your own words, then you shall delight yourself in Yahweh. And I shall cause you to ride on the heights of the earth, and feed you with the inheritance of Jacob, your father, for the mouth of Yahweh has spoken.
Amen. Okay, why don't you bring that over to Rebbitzin, Joanne, and Rabbi Tom, and let them read the 2 here for the welcome. So Rebbitzin, Joanne first.
Abba Yahweh, I thank you for our salvation provided by you through Yeshua. I pray that you would make this Sabbath day a reminder that we are set apart to you and that you are our Elohim. Yahweh, give us your wisdom and understanding as to how to keep this Sabbath day set apart. B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach.
Amen. Okay, Rabbi Tom.
Abba Yahweh, we thank you that you have created the Sabbath day as a day of rest for us, that we might change our focus from our things to you. May we remember our relationship with you, and may we be reminded that all we have is from you. I offer up this home to you as a set-apart Shabbat home, that I may function as priest in this home at this time. B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach. Amen.
Amen. Okay, together the blessing of the Messiah. Baruch atah Yahweh Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu et derech haYeshua b'Mashiach Yeshua. Amen. Blessed are you, Yahweh our Elohim, King of the universe, who has given us the way of salvation in Messiah Yeshua. Amen. Okay. You can hold the mic over there.
Okay. Baruch atah Yahweh Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu bidvareka v'natan lanu et Yeshua mishikenu v'tzivanu lehit eor leolam. Blessed are you, Yahweh our Elohim, King of the universe, who sanctifies us in your word and has given us Yeshua our Messiah and commanded us to be a light unto the nations. HaMashiach, Amen. Father, continue your loving kindness to our entire family and grant us and all Israel a good and long life. Remember us with favor and blessing, and consider us with salvation and compassion. Bless us with great blessing, complete our families, and cause your Shekinah glory to dwell among us. Make me worthy to raise my children, that they may walk in the way of wisdom and righteousness before you, loving and fearing you, following Yeshua our Messiah and your Torah. Keep us far from all manner of shame, grief, and care, and grant that peace, light, and joy abide in our home forever.
Yeshua HaMashiach, Amen. Glorified and sanctified be Yahweh's name throughout the world, which he has created according to his will. May he establish his kingdom and cause his salvation to sprout and bring near our Messiah in our lifetime, in our days, and in the life of all Yisrael, swiftly and soon. Together, let his name be praised eternally. Amen. Exalted and honored, adored and acclaimed be your name, O Holy One. Blessed are you whose glory transcends all praises, songs, and blessings voiced in the world. Together, let his name be praised eternally. Amen. Amen. Okay, the blessings over the family. The blessings over the family. Okay, we're going to begin with the blessing over the sons. All right. Let's see. Mr. Gary, go ahead and do the son's blessing. All right, so if you have, if you want to, fathers, if you want to get behind your children, or however you can get to your sons, and stand behind them with your hand on their head or on their shoulder. You can give them. I'll come to you. All right, Gary, go ahead.
May Yahweh make you like Abraham, blessing those who bless you, and cursing those who curse you. May Yahweh make you like Moshe and Yehoshua, a strong and bold leader. May Yahweh make you like Joseph, wise and respected with a forgiving heart. May Yahweh make you like Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, faithful to Yahweh at all times. May Yahweh make you like King David, praising and exalting Yahweh, a man after Yahweh's own heart. May you respect your father and your mother, as Yahweh your Elohim has commanded you, so your days are prolonged and is well with you on the soil which Yahweh your Elohim is giving you. Amen.
Okay, we're going to have Manny do the blessing over the daughters. I got to find mine. Here she is. Ready?
I can get it too.
Okay, hold on. We got some shifting of daughters to fathers because they were sitting with the other children. All right. Ready.
May Yahweh make you like Sarah and Rebekah, following and obeying Yahweh unceasingly as they followed and obeyed their husbands. May Yahweh make you like Deborah, wise and courageous, a strong leader. May Yahweh make you faithful like Ruth, who said, "Do not urge me to leave you or to go back from following after you. For wherever you go, I go, and wherever you stop over, I stop over. Your people are my people, and your Elohim is my Elohim. May Yahweh make you like Esther, who boldly went before the king to save her people at such a time as this. May you respect your father and your mother, as Yahweh your Elohim has commanded you, so that your days are prolonged, and so that it is well with you on the soil which Yahweh your Elohim is giving you. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Okay, Gary, you have my copy. Thank you. All right. Let's bring them. Okay, let's see if we have the Dilts family do the husband and the wife blessing. Would that be okay? Okay, bring that over there. Okay, we begin with the blessing of the wife.
Who does find a capable wife? For she is worth more than rubies. The heart of her husband shall trust her, and she has no lack of gain. She shall do him good and not evil all the days of her life. She shall seek wool and flax, and with delight she works with her hands. She shall be as the ships of Tarshish. She brings in her food from afar. She also rises while it is still night, and provides food for her household and a portion for her maidens. She shall consider a field and buy it. From her profits she shall plant a vineyard. She shall gird herself with strength and strengthen her arms. She shall taste when her grain is good. Her lamp does not go out by night. She shall stretch her hands out to the distaff, and her hand shall hold the spindle. She shall extend her hand to the poor, and she shall reach out her hands to the needy. She is not afraid of snow for her household, for all her household is dressed in scarlet. She shall make tapestry for herself. She is dressed in fine linen and purple. Her husband is known in the gates when he sits among the elders of the land. She shall make fine linen and sell them, and shall give belts for the merchants. Strength and splendor are her garments, and she rejoices in time to come. She shall open her mouth with wisdom, and on her tongue is the Torah of kindness. She watches over the ways of her household, and does not eat the bread of idleness. Her children rise up and call her blessed, her husband too, and he praises her. Many daughters have done nobly, but you have risen all over them all. Loveliness is deceptive, and prettiness is vain. A woman who fears Yahweh is praised. Give her the fruit of her hands, and let her work praise in her gates.
Okay. Trade places.
If I lean, he might fall over. Blessed is the man who shall not walk in the counsel of the wrong, and shall not stand in the path of sinners, and shall not sit in the seat of scoffers. But his delight is in the Torah of Yahweh, and he meditates in his Torah by day and night. For he shall be as a tree planted by the rivers of water, that yield its fruit in its season, and whose leaf does not wither, and whatever he does prospers. Psalms 112, 1-9. Praise Yah. Blessed is the man who fears Yahweh, who has greatly delighted in his commands. Mighty in the earth shall be his seed. The generation of the straight ones shall be blessed. Wealth and riches are in his house, and his righteousness is standing forever.
Amen. All right, blessing of the unmarried or widowed woman. She who is unmarried is concerned about the matters of the master, how to please the master. May Yahweh make you like Hannah, who diligently served Elohim in the temple night and day with fastings and prayers. May Yahweh make you like Tabitha, who was filled with good works and kind deeds. May Yahweh make you like Ruth, who took care of her widowed mother-in-law and was blessed by Yahweh. May Yahweh sustain you with flour and oil as he did the widow of Zarephath during famine through the Elijah the prophet. And may you be set apart in body and spirit, seeking the affairs of our Master Yeshua. Amen. Amen. Blessings of the unmarried or widowed men. He who is unmarried is concerned about the matters of the master, how to please the master. May you be like David, the shepherd boy who did not fear the giant, the lion, or the bear. May you be like Jeremiah, the single prophet who was called by Yahweh and set apart to send forth his word. May you be like Shaul, the single apostle, boldly proclaiming the good news of our Messiah. May you be set apart in body and spirit, seeking the affairs of our Master Yeshua. Amen. All right, so how are we going to do this? Because we don't have them up. Do you want to have them passed out? Okay, we're going to go ahead and bring out the grape juice and the wine and go ahead and get that passed around. I think that'll make it a little easier. Just be careful and let's not, so that we don't spill too much. Okay, everything's grape juice, so you don't have to worry about which one you're taking from. Let's go ahead and get them passed around. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do Kiddush and Motzi. Okay, and then the last thing on your handout is for after the meal, so we're not going to do that. Again, a reminder, if anybody wants to keep the ones that are in front of you, you're welcome to keep them. Although an FYI, I'm planning to edit it and change some things. So tell you that before you go and keep them, because we're going to have new ones probably for the next time we do this. Thank you. So while we're getting ready to get started, just a reminder to everyone what this is not, okay? This is not communion. Okay, that's an invention of the Catholic Church. Okay, Messiah, when he was using the symbols of wine and bread, he was utilizing something that the Jewish community was doing prior to his even coming in the flesh. It predates that time. As a matter of fact, what is the first time you see Kiddush and Motzi? I asked this last time, see if anybody remembers. When is the first time you see Kiddush and Motzi? Abraham with Melchizedek. Okay, Melchizedek. Because Melchizedek brings out the bread and the wine and they have Kiddush and Motzi. So it's a fellowshipping ritual. And of course, what greater fellowship do we have than that with our Messiah? And so he used it as a way to trigger us to remember him, to think about him. And so that's an important part of that relationship. But it's not an institution of anything new. He's just giving us a new understanding, a deeper understanding of something they were already doing. Does that make sense? Okay? Because we know that you are not to add or take away from the Torah. So this isn't new Torah. This is a tradition that was being done, and Yeshua gave us deeper meaning in it. Okay? I'm just stalling a little bit. Does anybody still need a cup? Okay, we'll need to go get a few more. They're making them now. Okay, we're crushing the grapes and turning them into grape juice. May take a little while. Okay, all those of you that had a hand in setting up the room, setting up the tables, moving the chairs, especially Miss Katie Hatt. Fabulous job in decorations and putting the table together. Okay, does anybody else need a cup? Raise your hand. Rob's got the cups. Okay, Kirk needs one. Brianna, do you have one by your table? Okay, come around. Make sure you have a cup. Okay. Mr. Marty, do you have a cup?
Yes.
Okay, you're all good. Okay, great. Okay, and as we go to do Kiddush and Motzi, I'm going to pause to recognize that Arwen is here. Recovering very nicely from his leg incident, and so we're so glad to see you made it here today. You look great, and we're really going to continue to pray for your full recovery. Okay, so it's good to have you here. All right. Is everybody ready? Go ahead and grab your cup. We'll begin with Kiddush together. Baruch atah Yahweh Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Amen. Blessed are you, Yahweh your Elohim, King of the universe, who creates the fruit of the vine. Amen. L'chaim. And in case there's anybody who's never seen Fiddler on the Roof, which is where, of course, you learn Hebrew, L'chaim means to life. Okay? To life. All right, now you're going to hold the mic for me. Now you're going to hold the mic for me. You're going to have to stand up and bring it up higher. All right, here we go. Shh. Now we've got one that's plain and one that looks like it has craisins in it. Raisins and craisins. All right, and these are made by Rebbe and Joanne. Which means that I'll have to just take one for the team and I'll take them with me. Which means they're awesome. Which means they're awesome. Okay, here we go. Together. Baruch atah Yahweh Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Blessed are you, Yahweh your Elohim, King of the universe, who brings forth bread from the earth. Amen. L'chaim. How are we going to do this? Pass them around.
Yeah, I don't know. He'll take it.
Bring them to the table.
Oh,
I'll
yeah?
announce what we'll do.
Okay.
Shh. Okay, to make this a little bit easier, we're going to dismiss for the meal. We're going to shut down the live stream just here in a second. And then when you come up, after we shut down the live stream, then we'll go over and get our pieces of bread off the table. It'll be easier than trying to pass it around. That will take a very long time. All right, so everybody stay seated for now. Those that need to go to the kitchen to make sure the food is okay can run off to the kitchen. I'm going to try not to be rude here while I'm chewing and talking here. That's not edible. Okay. Okay. So as we dismiss, let's just go before Yahweh for a quick second here. Avinu Malkeinu, our Father, our King. Father, we are so blessed to have the day known as Shabbat that you created at the beginning of time, knowing that this was a day we would need, and we are just delighted and excited and inspired to have a day to spend time with you and with each other. A day that we don't have any distractions, that we put aside all of the cares that we read in the little service that we went through today. A day we can put all that aside so we can focus completely on you. And so, Father, we just want to thank you and praise you, giving you all glory and honor in the name above all names, Yeshua our Messiah. Amen. Amen. Okay, if you can kind of look towards the camera over here. Is that the camera we can use, the one where Kirk is? That's what. Okay, look over here at David's camera. All right, and on three, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. We'll see you tomorrow on the live stream.